Previously on the Lupe and Royce show.
You don't know what this is?
Oh, yeah. What are those things called? You have to, the medicine thing.
No, it's a penis,
What
man.
the fuck is that?
It's a penis.
Why do you have that?
I actually got
Why
this.
do you have that?
I got it in Japan from one of my homies. Met them for like dinner at this izakaya, in a super famous kind of low key cult spot in Japan. And so his theme was dicks, as you can see. So this was actually one of the cups that they would serve you, like wasabi. The owner of the restaurant was he a G, and he gave me his one of his little penis bowls.
He gave you a penis bowl. Uh-huh. That is an interesting possession right there.
The Lupe and Royce show is a Say What Media production.
That was pretty good.
What up? This is Lupe Fiasco, and I beat on Tom. I whoop him.
Yo, what up? This is Royce the 5'9", and that sounded a little weird.
And this is Tom Frank. I'm a regular dude who really is pulling all the strings behind the closed door. They don't know. And they shouldn't know. How are we doing today? It's springtime.
I'm
it's
fantastic.
feeling warm out.
Where at?
In here in Maryland. It's beautiful. It's like LA.
It's nice and
like
cold.
this-
It's nice and cold
I like
here.
this
I don't have one of those joints.
What do you mean you don't have one of those?
I got a gray one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you ain't got a stealth one to creep up on snatch
No.
purses in?
I don't want that color, bro. I want
I
that
like
color.
the black one.
This was like a prototype.
I want
I
that
think.
color.
That was the prototype, yeah. We got new merch in the works.
Oh, man, listen,
Can't
man.
can't give any way. I
For-
can't give anything else away.
For a man
other than
to
that.
have a factory in his garage, it is unacceptable that it's still on the way. It should be done. We should be counting dollars. I want to come on here and count money for a whole episode with money that we made from this show, right? For an hour.
All right, we're gonna do
up?
that. We're gonna. This is episode 29. We're gonna do that episode 100 to celebrate
Stop
the
it.
100th
Yeah, stop.
episode. We're gonna count money.
Stop trying to appeal to a different side of us by rhyming when you speak. We got merch in the works. I'll let you know, guys. We got merch in the works.
I think just being around you guys, I'm starting to rhyme and rap and.
Just rhyming and
Sound
criming.
good.
Criming and rhyming.
I can't wait till you get good at
It's
it.
very
though.
true.
Okay, could you please hurry up and get good at it, man?
Show 100. Show 100. I'll be really good at it. So we're on show 29. For
Welcome,
those of
this-
you who haven't listened to the first 28,
Welcome,
This is
better
show
hustle
29.
it up.
welcome, y'all.
This is show 29.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Fans, welcome back. Shout out to everybody who left messages at the phone number, which is, Tom, off top, right at the top of the show. What is our phone number?
Our hotline is 707-276-6261. Leave us a message.
Also,
and you might get it
please.
played at the end of the show.
Yeah, do that.
And make sure, hey, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you're subscribing on Apple,
There you go. Sell
Spotify,
it.
Google,
Sell it.
Please
YouTube.
feel free to leave us some money.
and send money in for the 100th show so that these two guys can just count for a solid
I
hour.
So
swear
we
to
won't
God.
be rhyming and criming, merching and jerking, merching and merching.
Well, now, Lou, you do have your first concert, so to speak, in a while, has just been announced. And it's
Yeah.
coming up soon.
Yeah, let me just sell this.
I want to hear about this.
I'm not finna do
Yeah,
a
how's
whole-
this working?
Listen, man. I'm finna do a whole expose about this. It's real simple. I rap for a living. Sometimes I do it on stages. Okay? April 15th, I will be doing a virtual concert with Future Stream. You go to Future Stream TV. It's futurestream.tv/Lupe Fiasco to get tickets. Tickets are available right now. You hear my voice, go get a ticket. And it's similar to Royce's virtual show that he did. So it's a virtual show. And we're doing food and liquor. It's the 15th anniversary of my first album, Food and Liquor. So we're doing that from beginning to end. And it's part of we were prior to COVID shutting everything down, we were in the midst of doing the Food and Liquor tour. So we were just going around doing Food and Liquor, my first album from beginning to end. So it was fabulous. We did I think a couple shows before stuff started to get funky with COVID and everything got shut down. So hopefully as things open, we'll go back on the road and do it live. But in the meantime, we got a live stream virtual version of it, and it's gonna be pretty slamming. You know what I'm saying? Got my homies in there, Big Baby Bam, my DJ 00. So we throwing down. Shout out to Dame Dash Studios, where we actually are doing the live stream from, doing the concert and everything from.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah. So shout out to
That's
Dame, running around doing press with him. So me and Dame go way back, but that was super cool. Shout out to Rita Lee for putting it together. And that's April 15th. So make sure you tune in, futurestream.tv/Lupe Fiasco. You can get tickets right now. But on the 12th, they're dropping an NFT around the show. So, there's all type of different packages and stuff for it, and different bonus materials and stuff like that. Some merch will be attached to it as well. So, April 12th, we drop an NFT, so make sure you tune in for that. That's coming through, I think, Origin Protocol, one of the NFT companies. And then futurestream.tv/Lupe Fiasco for the concert.
Is that going to be non-fungible? Non-fungible or?
Yeah, shout out to JTJ for if you don't know what an NFT is, just go back and listen to our NFT episode starring JTJ. And she gave us a whole spiel and breakdown of what the NFT world is. We're not finna do it right now. I see your face, Tom. I'm not.
How many people can say that they have an NFT episode, huh?
Not many. And here's another special bonus. A little special bonus for April 15th is that before Mr. Lupe Fiasco goes live with Food and Liquor from beginning to end, there'll be a special edition of the Lupe and Royce show where myself and Royce the 5'9" will be interviewing Mr. Lupe Fiasco with questions from you, the fans. So look out either tomorrow or Saturday. We'll be putting up on the social channels, my channel, the show channel, Royce's channel, a little bit of a prompt to ask us anything. Come up with some interesting questions because we are going to grill him. This is going to be a highly investigative reporting interview to really get the goods on Mr. Lupe Fiasco and everything that was behind Food and Liquor.
Oh, you better be fucking afraid.
Listen, man, just because you can ask questions, that don't mean I'm going to answer them. So please send in all of your questions. Send in all kinds of stuff. That don't mean I'm going to answer it, baby. I plead the fifth.
Oh, no, you'll be answering them. You'll be answering them.
That don't mean I'm answered, baby.
So let me ask you about Food and Liquor. So this is your 15th anniversary?
Bruh, save it for your supposed frontline interview or your supposed 60 minutes that you and 5/9 is going to
60 minutes, I think. Yeah, 60 minutes.
I told you, I plead the 5/9.
Hey, I have pulled up in front of me. Do you guys want a update on the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I do.
Oh, what's the update?
Because we have a new first place person who has 371,000 votes. Any guesses on who it is?
Tina Turner.
Boom.
And I'm gonna tell you why.
Tina Turner?
Ooh, Royce, and guess why?
Hot damn.
Why?
What?
All right, I'm gonna get real conspiratorial. Okay, Hotel Cecil style, real quick. I watched it too, Tom. Just so you know, for the fans out there who was waiting, I sat through it. I watched it. It bothers me. I'm still dealing with it. But anyway, now remember, where was Tina Turner before?
She was in the top 5, I think, right?
Yeah, but she wasn't top 3, was she? Or was she?
No, I think she was 4 or 5.
Fela Kuti was number 1.
Fela Kuti's now number 2.
Okay, so just when's the last time that Tina Turner just kind of popped up outside of this Hall of Fame thing?
She's been kind of quiet,
Yeah,
but
see?
she just announced that she's doing the movie, right?
See? That I think it's a whole kind of concerted effort, right? That they saw like, because she popped up for this film, right? And it was like some controversy around the film, right? Because I seen like somebody did a review of the movie, and it was like, man, they keep just focusing in on the bad stuff with Tina. Won't they just focus on in all the other stuff that she done did? And it was just creating a conversation, right? Well, I think it's all somewhat aligned.
Right.
That was it. It was a poor conspiracy theory, but I think that it was because that movie's coming out is you're seeing more interest in Tina, and that's why she jumped to number 1.
People remembering why they love her so much.
Do you think that she did that as her timing on purpose, or do you think it's coincidence? How bad do musicians want to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Man, real bad.
I would imagine as bad as I wanted a Grammy.
But think about it, right? Like the Grammys is scheduled. So you know when the Grammys going to happen. They have a date, right? They have very hard dates, right? Of when they're going to open things, when they're going to close things. And I don't know if it's now I'm just guessing, but I'm assuming that people are aware of when voting and picking and stuff is going to open for the Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So you can kind of prepare in advance, right? To place yourself, into the social conversation. If you do so choose and have the appropriate folks and connections to get your name out there, right? And I think that's what happened with Tina Turner. I think that's why Tina Turner jumped to number 1 is because of that movie.
And I think you're right. I think she timed it. Good marketing person would have put all the dots together.
It's perfect fucking timing.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect timing. Because if you remember, I don't think I even voted for Tina.
I did. I did vote for Tina. I did not vote for Fela.
Mispronounce his name one more time.
Fela?
He doing better this time than he was last time.
He knew that man's name, bro.
Fela.
So wait a minute. And then we have what's kind of amazing is the two of them both have over 370,000 votes. And number 3 is 100,000 behind them. And there's 4 of them that are in the 200,000. Who do you think they are?
So who's number 3? I'm not trying to guess, man. This ain't a game show. Who's number 3?
3 is the Go-Go's.
Okay.
4 is Iron Maiden. 5 is Foo Fighters.
Damn.
And 6 is Carole King.
The crazy part.
6 is who?
Carole
6 is
King.
who?
Carole King.
Carole King, okay.
The crazy part
What's
is
the crazy
that
part?
all of our heroes are like out of the runnings. They're done. Jay, LL, Mary J. Blige.
Where's Jay-Z at?
They just evaporated.
The bottom three, Jay-Z's dead last, LL Cool J, Mary J.
Bruh. It's a conspiracy, bruh.
Okay.
It's a conspiracy.
All right, they just gonna do Mary like that?
Now,
LL Cool J,
here's
LL
my
Cool J?
take on that.
The guy who made I'm Bad, huh?
She's young still. I mean, this is the first. I mean, she's got time. She'll get in.
And Fela's will be posthumous, so there's that. Right?
Oh, I'm rooting for Fela. I'm a huge fan.
What are you talking about? You're such a dirty liar. You probably still haven't even listened to one Fela song. I'm upset.
Fela, of the 3 of us, who has been in his home country?
Yeah, I've never been to Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going either.
I've been to Nigeria. I've been in Nigeria.
You've been in Nigeria? Where at? Where at Nigeria?
I don't fucking know. Why am I supposed to know that?
I don't know. I was in Abuja, so I know where I was.
I rapped over there somewhere.
Did you hear that man say, "Why should I have to know that?" That's prestige right there. This is a prestigious man to be like, why would I need to know where I was in Nigeria?
Well, I got a job to do, man. I can't fucking know everything. I got to rap. Okay, I'll tell you the name of the venue, man. It was called the venue. And I rapped. I went in there and I rapped. Rap.
This man is a whole special.
Now, I think I've been over there. I think I've been to Nigeria. I don't know if I've been to Mumbubutu. Where you say you was at?
All you gotta do is just
Abuja.
Google him. Did you say Mumbubutu? That's terrible. Just Google when Royce was in Nigeria, man. But you said Royce did. You said you calling the man Fila. He's saying the boom 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 boom. Like, come on, man. Put some respect.
I was just kidding. I think Tom was serious.
If I find out that you were in Nigeria wearing a Flash shirt, I'm going to.
You're not going to find that out. Unless you find out the same way you found out I was anywhere else wearing a Flash shirt.
You know what I'm starting
through
to notice?
Photoshop.
What I'm starting to notice, Royce, it's easy to find stuff about you. Like, it's real easy.
Dog, I didn't have a Flash shirt on.
Like,
I really didn't.
Every time something come up about you, right, there's a video for it. There's like, oh, of course, there's Royce. He is right here still in that car. It's right there.
I'm gonna find him in Nigeria.
The algorithm is never kind to me. Ever.
You're a very public figure.
Man, you super public.
I'm not.
You way more public than me.
I'm very private.
I don't think you are very private.
Me neither. You be
Yes,
all
I am.
over the place.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yo, so serious note, right? The two things that I want to touch on. One, the Asian violence, right? One thing. Want to touch on that a little bit, and then also the George Floyd case, which is rolling out right now in Minneapolis. First, the Asian violence piece, man. Like, I think it's appropriate for everyone who is in a position of influence over, you know, a audience of people that may include people from different walks of life, right? Just your general audience, right? You know, to let your audience know, you know, to kind of control yourself, not even kind of control yourself, like control yourself. Like, if you've ever heard any of my songs, if you've heard my name, or you've been to a concert or heard a song on the radio, seen one of my interviews, just aware of who I am, right? You don't have to be a super fan, a stan. You can just be some random person. Lupe Fiasco would like for you to express some level of empathy and support for our Asian brothers and sisters here in America, firstly, but also our Asian brothers and sisters all around the world, right? Yes, there's a relationship between black folks and Asians that is, I mean, it's mixed. It's a mixed bag, right? There's you can show evidence of this, you can show evidence of that, but right now, 2021, right, today is the time to, you know, have had learned from the past, have forgiven the things that have occurred in the past, right? And then focus on what we are going to do as a total unit of people today to kind of stem that violence specifically for that community that is calling for that need. The same way that we call for the same things in our own communities, whether we're black people, white people, Latino people, whatever it is, a group of us is in need of some attention and some type of support. So I think that is if you're a Lupe Fiasco fan specifically, I will hope that you would do that. You know, I'm not saying that we're going to be able to solve it. I'm not saying we're going to get through to everybody, but just the one step that you can take is just show some support and some sympathy for that group of brothers and sisters that we're dealing with here.
So what's happening exactly? Is it like random acts of violence toward Asian people in America, or what's going on? Like, why I noticed that everybody was kind of like posting that. I know we had the massage parlor thing. What else happened?
I think it's a mixed bag of, like, same thing kind of with you know what was going down, you know, during the pandemic, through kind of like the BLM responses to certain things, right? It might have been things that had happened a year ago, 2 years ago, right? But it was something else was happening at the same time, right? Something bigger or whatever. It might even been some, you know, police shootings might have been happening. So there were just incidents and things that have been occurring that have, you know, based off incidents that have happened recently, where now you're just kind of like opening the bag of like what's been going on for over a period of time. So there's things that are very recent, like within a couple days, if I'm not mistaken, or, you know, reported within a couple days, or the incidents made public on a certain day, but it might have been something that took place a while before, similar kind of how we learned out about some of these shootings, right? Like, we didn't know, you know, this brother got shot, this happened in February, or Ahmaud Arbery, right? Like, we didn't know that happened until months later. So I say it's a mixed bag in that sense, but it's basically random acts of violence against, Asian folks of an older kind of ilk, from the whole spectrum, Chinese, Vietnamese, Thai, like, the whole spectrum of folks. And it seems to be like it's the Asian community is coming together and framing it, right? And kind of putting everything into one spot. And, rightfully so, the same thing we kind of did with Black Lives Matter, police shooting and stuff like that, put a frame on it, so we can all operate off the same thing, everything's included. But even with like Black Lives Matter and now the AAPI kind of movement, it's almost like America as usual. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my kind of piece. Like, this has been something that America has been, has been happening for an extended period of time across many groups of people, right? And it's only until it gets to a point where a group comes together and say, look, we finna frame this and put a title to it. In these days and age, we put a hashtag to it. And it encompasses all these different things. So it is something like a random act of violence. It may be something that's like a domestic situation, right? It may be something that's a racial kind of epithet type situation, or it may be something that's violent and as ruthless as the shootings that took place in Atlanta. But it's all kind of getting bundled together under this one banner. And it's like, it's the unfortunate part is like, it happens in like every community. If you step back and look at it, like, you got AAPI happening in the Asian community. At the same time, you still got BLM happening, right, in this community, right? And it's like we're minorities in the space, but we're together we're tens of millions of people. I hesitate to say hundreds of millions because I don't want to step too outside my statistical understandings. But I mean, it's tens of millions of people, groups dealing with just violence in America, and it feels like this is the American way.
Do you think that some of this is stemming, or at least bubbling to the surface, because of the political unrest? I mean, if you think about it, there's still half of our country that's pissed off about the election, and those are the same people that listened to a president who basically stood up there and blamed coronavirus on China, called it the China flu, or whatever he was calling it at that point. Do you think there's any of that that's kind of bubbling up and due to kind of that, which was started, before the election, and kind of has just continued to like come to the surface?
I mean, is that, I think that's a motivation. There are some historical motivations, right? America has been specifically we know the Black history of America, right? But even less, what's less known is the Chinese history in America. And then you bundle in the other kind of Asian groups that are part of that. When I say Indians, like actual like Indians from India versus kind of like indigenous folks. The Chinese history in America is vicious, right? It's in certain capacities on par with the Black experience in America, right? Marginalization, literal laws that were passed, like full on, not even something like secretive, maybe in this part of America, or nuanced like Jim Crow laws or something like that, like just straight out blatant like anti-Chinese laws, right? And so they've been dealing with that systemically in America since they first touched, literally since they first touched. And it was like, Asians came, and I say specifically Chinese because that's who it was specifically, right? There were other groups kind of coming in and out, but specifically Chinese came in to kind of take the place of, slaves, but it was more indentured servancy, right?
Yeah.
It was less about farming and maybe more about building out infrastructure and stuff like that, mining and stuff like that, right? So you think of the gold rush, you think of the East, and you think of the railroad. You don't really tie that with slavery, right? But at the same time, too, it's tied into like brutality and oppression of like Asians, right? In certain cases, indigenous and Native American folks. So they've been dealing with it historically for a while, right? And as it kind of comes today, it's just, again, it's part of this American tradition. That's why I say it's America as usual. # America as usual, right? Because it is this, even outside of Trump, there's this, sense of inferiority, supremacy. And what makes this really interesting in a horrible way is that the perpetrators the perpetrator of the shooting in Atlanta was a white dude, right? But the perpetrators of like the guy who pushed the old man down, I think in the Bay Area, there's a video now that just surfaced that is this dude kicking this woman in the streets, I think in New York. They black, you know, and or you know, looking at the footage, they're black, right? And it's just like even black folks are susceptible to the racism aspect of it, right? And
that's kind of interesting, yeah.
And if it's not race, it's that picking on the least, the weakest, right? Picking on the old. And when you think of Trump's movement, Trump wasn't just his movement wasn't just a bunch of white people, right? There's black conservatives, there's folks who
surprisingly,
are, you know, like full on for it. I follow him on Twitter, on Instagram, so I know that they're there. Like that's part of his piece, and they follow that rhetoric. You know, they follow that kung flu rhetoric. They follow all that whole piece. And they're not trying to sort out and detail it objectively. They're buying into, again, that America as usual kind of supremacy talk. Those people are less than us, et cetera, et cetera. The other aspect of it is that there is a history of conflict to a certain degree between black folks and Asian communities. And when you're in these segregated places and it's, you know, all for one for all type situation, where there is that kind of seam of difference and divide between these communities historically, whether it was meant to be like that intentionally or growing up together, growing pains, trying to, you know, conserve your traditions, conserve your practices, your outlooks, and your ways of life, versus these other folks trying to do the same thing, all competing for that American dream, right? Like mine over yours, etc. So there's those aspects of it as well. But I've seen it throughout the pandemic, just talking to people. And, you know, some will come up about Asians and it's just super racist, right? And I just be like, damn, you know, and even me facing it where, you know, my business partner's Chinese. I got business in Hong Kong. I've as a black man going to China to learn martial arts, me coming from the martial arts, you know, being raised in kind of a martial tradition where, you know, I learned how to count in Japanese before I could count in English type situations, relating to that culture, having an appreciation for that culture. Well, people come at me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to be like you Japanese, but in a racist way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you playing with your swords. That ain't your traditions, right? You trying to be like them while you caping for these Asians. And I've seen that early in the pandemic and now. So, you know, I'm sorry for ranting, Royce, but it's like, you know, that's real. It's not in everybody, but it's there, right? And it's like, so that's why I'm speaking, you know, to my peoples, you know. Like, you know, put that aside. You know, don't fall into that.
But what's interesting about what you said is, right, in our society right now, right, as kids are growing up, they're learning about slavery. They're learning about kind of the hardship that Black America went through, right? We don't ever talk about Asian America. We don't ever talk about, like, the same. That's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that. That's never spoken about.
What do you mean, like in school? In school?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if my kids were to come in here right now and you kind of talk about slavery, you talk about, like, you know, they would know enough about kind of the struggle that African Americans, Black Americans have had to a certain degree. Granted, they're white kids, right? But they know they at least have been exposed to that. I don't think they would have any clue if I said, well, what about kind of Asians in America and what they went through? They wouldn't even know what I was talking about, because whoever talks about that, I've never actually even heard of anybody say anything about that.
You think we should add that to the curriculum?
I don't know, but I mean, I think to Lupe's point, right? They had a very similar path in our country than the African Americans had, but yet, for whatever reason, it's not part of the story.
Part of the story of America?
At least in
almost in the same way that Native Americans aren't really, they're not a huge part of the story either.
I mean, but the kicker is, like, there's still Native American kind of representation here, right? Even if it's just in title. True. So, like, the names of towns. True. It's like Chicago, you know, Illinois, the names of certain states. So there's still, like, even if it's just in name, right? Whereas like there's not that, you don't have that type of rep. You got like Chinatown, right? And you might have a few Chinese restaurants here. There's a Chinese restaurant in every city, right? But there's not a street named after like a Chinese person in every city. You know what I'm saying? There's not like, it's not in the mainstream, right? Or Asian Americans in general, right? Like they have to be exceptional, right? It's just not standard. One, because they're immigrants, they're migrants to it, and there is that kind of white dominance over the title of things and stuff like that. But I think from our point of view of learning about slavery, in terms of putting in a curriculum, we have talking about black folks, we need to move from like our struggle first is cool. Like I understand that. I can articulate that. But we can't be our struggle only. Right? And I think that's why sometimes some of these narratives of other folks that have suffered comparatively, or have similar paths in this nation, just like us, it gets kind of like toned down because it's like our struggle only, right? And the same thing on the Asian side of the thing, it becomes our struggle only. You know what I'm saying? If white people, our struggle only. Right? Only. As opposed to like, look, I'll struggle first, but then yours next. And then, you know, because my struggle first, because this is what I know. Right? And once when I get to a level of being able to solve mine, or at least compartmentalize mine if I can't solve it, then I can start the process about learning yours. But if the mentality is like my struggle only, so yeah, we're going to give you time to come in and speak your little piece. We're going to give you your little 5 minutes, but then you got to get the fuck on, right? I think it needs to be like some equal platforming so people can come out and tell their stories and genuinely listen, you know, genuinely want to be able to learn from it and solve from it, use that knowledge that you learn to try and help solve the issues that they're facing. Right. Because at this point in the way we're going, you know, we're tied into this tornado of violence, and the way kids are learning, they're learning my struggle only versus my struggle first, right? Or I'm good. I'm actually cool. You know, as a black man in America, in my position, I'm cool, right? Physically, personally, right? So I can take some time to be like, okay, now your struggle, right? Your struggle first, right? Because I'm good. Everybody ain't good. They still gonna do me, but there needs to be a few representatives and folks who are good and have learned their struggles to be able to go and inform and partner up with folks that are struggling through their things right now.
I know one of the main things that I advocate for when it comes to black people and the black experience in America is equality. So everybody falls under that banner. You know what I mean? It's not just equality for black people, equality for everybody. We just seem to be the ones that when it's time to dole out justice equally, we fall short. You know what I mean? So, I mean, man, I empathize with violence, senseless violence toward anybody. You know, Asian people, white people, it don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, violence is violence. It's fucked up. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel that. I definitely feel everybody coming together and having a voice against it. I'd love to know more about it, though. I'd love to do some more research and just see. Like, I still can't quite put a finger on, are they being attacked because they're Asian by a certain group of people, or is it because maybe I just need to look into it? But I don't know. The what was the thing? The massage parlor thing? Was that like was it said that that's like a racially fueled thing, or was that just like another one of those mass shootings that just happened to be a massage parlor? Or was it because it was an Asian-owned massage parlor, or did we get those details?
I think that's tricky too, right? Because it's tragic in two ways, right? When you think if he was doing it, who do you believe? Do you believe the shooter, or do you believe the shot, or do you believe the people that are observing it, right? And what do you need to satisfy at the time? And I think it's the same thing that happens with police shootings with black people, right? It's like a array of people. Like, do you believe the cop? Do you believe the dude who got shot? Do you believe the people that were watching it, that were actually witnesses on the scene? Or do you believe the lawyer who came in, you know, a month later to take up the case, Now he at the pedestal, you know, giving out his piece, right? But he the same lawyer who did this case and that case, right? So you know it's trying to it's getting folded into a bigger narrative, right? But I think it's some case by case. But with that piece, what's so tragic about that is when you think of the dude saying it's like he got a sex addiction, right? Then the flip side is, okay, it's based on race, because I think 6 of the people that got killed were Asian. I don't know the races of the other folks, right? They could be white, they could be black. Maybe you check it out, Tom, and see what if you can.
Yeah.
Here's why that's double tragic. So if he did it because his race, right? That's in itself is one tragedy based on race, you know, hate crime. If he did it on some sex, then it's a definitely a less tragic narrative, but you know, Asians are sex workers. You know, the massage parlors where you go get the rub and tug, and so all Asians good for is like sex and rub and tug. You feel me? So it's double tragic in terms of how it's framed. At the end of the day, it's like they human beings, you know, who didn't deserve to go out like that, who wanted to live their life, you know. So I think it's weird in that space. But there's some where it's just the petty violence. It seems like it's a random attack. Some definitely have a hint of like, you know, Asian. One thing, like, why you drop kicking an old man? Like, why you just gonna walk up and push no matter what color they is? They white, black? Like, what type of shit is that? You know? So is it somebody picking on old people, picking on weak people, right? And that community's just most exposed or most vulnerable, right? So, I mean, it's a mix. But at the end of the day, I think the same way how, you know, the black community wants at least kind of one narrative heard, like, stop doing this to us for whatever the reason is. I think it's the same kind of shout that's happening from the Asian community, no matter what the provable evidential motivation are. Like, stop this shit.
It's funny that in the Atlanta case specifically. I mean, again, who do you believe? But the shooter came out and said it was basically about the fact that he was addicted to sex and wanted to eliminate anything that was basically a vice. And so, but again, who do you believe? It was 6 of the 8 were Asian, and then there was a Hispanic, and I can't find who the other person was. But I don't know. What do you believe? But back to the Asian thing, there's also a lack of knowledge, right? Like, if you think about it, we talk about in history books, like, women's rights, like when women were allowed to vote for the first time. We understand when black people were allowed to vote for the first time. I have no idea the history of the Asian American. When were they allowed to vote? Were they ever not allowed to vote? Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that was only black people. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was only black people.
You might be right, but I just have no idea because it's something we never even talk about.
I mean, you could Google, like, there was the anti kind of Chinese policy that was like the Bill of Rights. Like, you ever read the Bill of Rights? Not the Bill of Rights, I apologize. The Declaration of Independence? Like, the whole thing? Where they specifically, like, you know, savages and, you know, like, when you get toward the bottom of it, you know, and they start listing out, like, this is what we're trying to do with this specific group of people. I mean, it gets very visceral real quick. And I'm sure it's the same in the kind of anti-Chinese bill that was kind of passed.
I was looking back to what you were kind of saying before. The only thing we kind of know is the discrimination against them when certain events have happened in history, right?
Right.
If you think about Pearl Harbor, right, all of a sudden there were camps all over the United States where Asians were imprisoned because of Pearl Harbor, which is kind of getting to that point. But
so here it is.
I'll look that up.
It's the Chinese Exclusion Act, right? It banned Chinese women from immigrating to the United States. The Chinese Exclusion Act was the first and remains the only law to have been implemented to prevent all members of a specific ethnic or national group from immigrating to the United States. And I mean, we can go through it. We ain't got the time, but, you know, if you want to go through it and look through, like, what all that bills entails, it lasted for 30 years. It caused I'm just reading off the Wikipedia real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, just bounce back through it. So there's been things, you know, that have been done, you know, that, you know, they got a case. You know, they definitely got a case of what, you know, how they were treated by this country, and then what the rhetoric was that surrounded that, you know, and from films to movies, things that we just take casually as being like,
yeah,
you know. So Sambo, Aunt Jemima, things that we kind of take old episodes of Tom and Jerry, right? The way black people were presented and represented, had the same thing, if not even stronger, in the Chinese community, right? Because the features, like they got big buck teeth, and they got, they all walking around with ponytails, and they speak like right? All that racist shit, right? That we was just consuming. It's like, oh, okay, it's just funny, But it
was just funny. Nobody,
But you got Chinese people sitting there suffering in silence, and Asian folks suffering in silence. And I want to segue real quick into the Derek Chauvin George Floyd case, right? It's somewhat relative, because when you think about how race relations are sometimes framed for two communities on a macro level, I think about the case of the little girl that was shot in the head by a Korean stoner in LA that was tied in to the Rodney King case, right? And it was just kind of like this no justice, no peace, like where does that come from type sentiment, where you had people that were, they didn't necessarily, whether the police officers beat their cases, right? But, it was still adjudicated in a very weird, strange way, where it felt like justice wasn't served, where you have this young girl who was shot in the head by this Korean stoner because she felt like the girl was trying to steal something, and there was a little altercation and something that had happened, and in that moment she shot the girl in the back of the head, and it just created this fury, rightfully so, right? Righteous indignation. But when it went through the system and got into the courts, right, it was done in such a way, and the process was presented in such a way that it just created like, it was that incident and the incident with Rodney King as well was responsible for the riots in 1992 in Los Angeles, right? Those court cases, right? So the incidents happened, and then it was like, okay, we're gonna come to terms with this, but we waiting on this legal justice, or how the justice system's gonna handle it, and it was kind of mishandled. These miscarriages of justice, right? And the city exploded, like it was on fire, literally on fire. Still repercussions of it kind of up to this day. And the Asian community was, the Korean community was attacked, but all the communities were attacked. There was, black, once it became, the demons were let loose, so to speak, everybody kind of took a L on it, right? But you've seen like a narrative building of this tension between these two communities, right? The Asians and the blacks, right? Crystallized in that moment when they shot that little girl. And what made it crazy is the woman got off, had like probation. The judge was white, lady. It was real strange. Look into the case if y'all want to check it out. But it brings me back to kind of like what felt like redemption in what's his name? The golfer, the football player, O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson,
right?
yeah.
So you seen O.J. Simpson was kind of looked at as redemption, right? Justice for those two kind of miscarriages of justice. So him getting off was kind of like celebrated, the whole thing. And the reason I brought up the George Floyd case, because I remember the O.J. Simpson case was on TV, right? Like on I don't remember if it was all the channels, but I remember watching that like it was a TV show.
I remember stopping what I was doing. I was in college, and everybody in the cafeteria stopped to watch the verdict.
Right? Like sitting watching the case, like day to day, it's all on the news, all day long. They covering the O.J. Simpson case. You in the court, you in the trial, you seeing it happen piece by piece, by play by play by play. And I'm wondering if this generation that's going through the George Floyd piece, it has that same sense of kind of like immediacy and pertinence and importance of this particular case, and I have that same kind of energy around it. I just want to throw those two things out there.
I think we got one for every generation. We always got one, at least. You know what I mean? And it don't usually work out in our favor at all. The OJ trial, I don't know, man. I don't know if I.
Oh, I followed every minute of that. I can remember every minute of it. You don't remember even in the Bronco, the white Bronco? I mean, that was before the trial, obviously. But
I remember that.
I mean, we all remember that, right? I was sitting watching. I know exactly what I was doing. The Houston Rockets were playing in the NBA, and they literally stopped the game to go over to the chasing of the Bronco.
There's a Chicago connection to it, because remember when he got on the plane and left? I think he had came to Chicago, and I remember they was like searching somewhere around the airport looking for a bag or something like that. It was strange. I think that's what it was, and he went back. But you were saying something, Royce. You felt like, do you feel that, like, you know, like for the OJ case, comparing it to like the George Floyd case, do you feel like that the consequences are the same? You know, that if Derek Chauvin get let go, you might see the same type of response that didn't happen in the OJ case, right? Like if they were like, if it was almost like the sentiment, if OJ don't get off, we going back to rioting. You know what I'm saying? Like we finna go crazy again. Do you feel like that's at stake with the with George Floyd case?
People were threatening to riot if OJ didn't get off.
Oh yeah.
I remember people threatening to riot if the police who beat up Rodney King didn't get found guilty. I remember that. I don't remember us threatening violence over OJ.
I do. I think there was a lot of tension around that.
But what it was like, I see the connection was kind of being made, you know, that OJ was the justice for the injustice of Rodney King, right, in the court system, right?
Yeah.
And the injustice for the little girl. That's kind of how the OJ case was kind of get framed. I mean, I could see that with some folks. Like I said, I don't think it was like in the black mainstream consciousness.
Yeah, I didn't see that, because very rarely do I see an eye for an eye in the black community, only amongst each other, you know. But when it comes to like what we're advocating for, it's always just equality. You know what I mean? Like it's always just asking for the right thing. I don't. Maybe I just didn't hear my parents on that tip like that or something. I don't know. I never seen the eye for an eye thing when it came to the OJ thing. I remember people being surprised that he got off, because a lot of people may have felt like he was guilty allegedly. You know what I mean? But
and that's the thing. I think.
But you know, it's not like you know, it was more so like Malice Green, Rodney King. You know, what's another one where it was like, okay, we're gonna tear shit up, like George Floyd. I could see people probably saying that, even though, you know, we already tore up some shit already. You know what I mean? So, I guess we just hoping that everybody's gonna do the right thing. It's hard for me to compare it to the OJ case.
But do you think this one's a little different in that, I mean, this is bigger than just race. It started as race, but to me, George Floyd at this point is just human decency, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they already starting to like frame it a certain way. They're already saying that he had like fentanyl in the system at the time of his death.
No. I'm saying at this point, I don't think this is a black-white issue. It started as a black-white issue, but I think at this point, any rational person looking at this is like, this guy can't possibly get off. Like,
Yeah, I
this
knew
is almost-
I knew what you meant,
You know what I'm
Tom.
saying?
I was just saying the reason why I said that was to say that that's one of the things that I think they're going to try and use to make him seem like not so
Yeah,
good
I
of a
see.
person, because he had fentanyl in the system. He's a drug user. Lord knows what he may have did at the time. Whatever defense that they could possibly have, for them to just throw that out there at this juncture, it just lets me know, you know what I mean, that that's a potential angle. Candace Owens even went that direction. You know, like everybody's making this guy out to be some sort of martyr or some great guy. Nobody said he was a great guy. Nobody called him a martyr. You called him a martyr. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't say anything about who he is as a person. He's a human being. That's all we're saying. You killed that man in cold blood. You know what I mean? And didn't care about it. And you are a public servant. You are somebody who's supposed to be an employee of the people. You're supposed to make us feel safe. You know what I mean? So, and it's not like not like somebody. I'm somebody who has an active dependency, right? I'm an addict. I'm a recovering addict. So, am I a bad person? Am I a bad person? Like, am I bad just because I'm a disease? You know what I mean? Like, if he had a drug problem, what does that have to do with anything? There's white people with drug problems, black people with drug problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, man.
I mean, you did have an album called Bad Meets Evil. I mean, there's that. If I was the prosecutor, I'd be like, Yana, he has an album called Bad Meets Evil. Which one was evil? No. The reason I compared it, Royce, to the OJ case, not necessarily for the substance of the case, but just like how much of our cultural narratives have been defined by like court cases. You know what I'm saying? Like the either what the case stands for, or how much of our cultural narratives are based on how the case is going to be resolved, right? And the decisions that we make post case, right? And is that do you feel like, you know, because some people felt like, yeah, OJ getting off, that's for everybody who didn't get off. You know, there was definitely that's what, right? Like that's for everybody who got
that's what happens,
such and such, right?
That's what happens. That's what happens when you don't dole it out equally. You know what I mean? Like when you make it off balanced, you create division. You socially engineer a situation that's not even moral. It's not even moral to say, yo, OJ better win or we gonna tear this shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because especially if you looking at it and you feel like, damn, he look like he may have did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it's almost it's to a point now where it's not even about right and wrong any longer, man. It's about like, I like to think that I can walk and chew gum at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I try not to just subscribe all the way to a side. You know what I mean? Like I try to just look at things rationally for what they are. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't want it to be, you know, like the black side versus the other side, whatever that other side is. It's already multiple ethnicities in America, and we finding a hard time living in harmony. You know what I mean? Because it's based in so much corruption, and it's almost like we just all become like collateral damage. You know, and then now you have groups of people pointing at other scorned groups of people and asking them to do something where everybody may not have the strength to do that. Black people may not have the free arm to lend you. You know what I mean? Like you got to take that in consideration too. You know, and as far as being empathetic, man, like we're all empathy. You know what I mean? Like we're all empathy, but some of us are just broken. You know what I mean? So I can kind of see it for that. You know what I mean? And it takes to have like close Asian friends and shit like that. Is of course you got, I got, of course. You know what I mean? So it's like we've been in the record industry, and we like.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on.
Wait. I have a question. I have a question, Royce.
What'd you say?
I can't wait.
Do you have the clapper? Or
no, I was trying to.
Or you have servants
motion.
like that are watching you.
No.
You communicate with the servants.
bro. No, motion detector. I was trying to make noise. You know what I'm saying? So the shit will come back on. I don't know why they just went out.
Oh, that was
I must have went a long time without moving. I thought I was moving around. Yeah.
No, but you were saying like people who have close Asian
Yeah, but
friends,
we both
right?
we both we in the record business. You know what I'm saying? Like we had the privilege. And I say the privilege to be able to meet people and actually establish real friendships with people of other ethnicities. And I think about the people who are like you said earlier, marginalized, you know, like to just their group in a small little community. So you got these small communities, and then you got, let's say, Asian people who actually own things within those communities. You know, so like you know how you were saying, like the Asian people don't get like streets, they get towns. We don't get a town. You know what I mean? Like we try to get a town, they burn our town down. You know what I mean? Like, so there's always a retort. You know what I mean? But I'm more prone to lean to agreeing with you. Like it's got to start somewhere. It's got to start at some point. We all got to put our grievances aside and be strong, and it's got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I kind of feel about it.
You're listening to the Lupe and Royce Show with Lupe Fiasco, Royce the 5'9", and Tom Frank.
The Lupe and Royce Show is a production of Say What Media.
Have you thought about hosting your own podcast but don't know where to start?
Working with Say What Media is like having your own personal producer, editor, audio engineer, and distributor, all in one place.
From equipment recommendations to engineering and distribution, Say What Media handles the boring details so you can focus on saying interesting stuff.
Get started at saywhat.media.
You're listening to the Lupe and Royce Show with Lupe Fiasco, Royce the 5'9", and Tom Frank.
I worked with Lil Nas X for the Super Bowl a couple months ago, and I'm assuming you've seen this
I'm about to
latest.
close my computer, bro.
The latest controversy here is kind of crazy.
You trying to get this computer closed on you, ain't you, Tom?
I was curious as people that in the
Let me
music
tell you
business.
something. Let me tell you something. I don't know how nobody feel about it. I don't do the devil, bro. I don't do the devil, bro. That's where I depart. I depart at the devil. That's exactly where I leave. As soon as you start talking about the devil and start playing nice with the devil,
You're done.
I'm out. I don't play with the devil, bro.
Okay, so here's this, Royce. Because, I came up Muslim, right? I mean, we talked kind of about your religious upbringing last show, right? Tom, you the Catholic, right? Kind of came up through that, right?
Christian, yeah, Catholic, yeah.
Okay. So, even me being Muslim, planning on fasting during Ramadan, doing that whole piece, right? I don't really believe the devil exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really believe that, and it's weird dealing with it because it's one thing to have your religion. It's another thing to have like science, and it's another thing to get older, right? And certain stories that people used to tell you when you was a kid, because now you telling people certain stories, right? To keep people in line or whatever, right? We do it professionally, right, Royce? And so, and Tom, you do it too. You out here telling people stories and, creating myths around products and stuff like that. So at the core, I don't believe it, right? But I'm caught two ways. One, I don't really take seriously when people invoke it because I don't think it's real. Right? So I think substance from an objective standpoint, it doesn't really have no weight in this world in and of itself. But subjectively, it's weird because it's like, am I being kind of like religiously intolerant? You know what I'm saying? Because there's people who pray to the devil, right? Like there's Satanists and they practice all type of crazy. There's a church of Satan and stuff like that. And is it me saying, man, that don't exist? Is that the same like be somebody coming into the mosque or coming into a Catholic church like, man, God don't exist, Jesus wasn't real,
exist.
I don't know, man, because it's to me I don't think, because I don't really subscribe to that devil that you're talking about either, Lou. Like I don't subscribe to that devil either. It's a proverbial evil. There's a darkness.
Temptation.
Yes, there's a darkness that I think it's not cool to play into, even if you're doing it in a fucking obligatory sort of way and you're just being a dumbass little kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that shit, man. Like, I think there's an evil that exists within the universe. And I think it's right here with us. You know what I mean? Like, you could pick a side. I think when you do shit like that and you playing with having a huge platform and you're playing with the message that you convey amongst the masses, that's wrong. I check out at that point. I've done enough wrong with my platform. I'm not about to sit and listen to watch Lil Nas X have sex with the fake devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that shit is crazy to me, bro.
I find it wrong for a different reason though, because he built who he is based on an audience that was probably ranging from the age of 18 to 12, right? Those are the only people who listen
with that record.
Maybe younger than that, right?
Man.
Yeah, Old Town Road. I guess my problem with it is less about what he did and the fact that his audience, the audience that was waiting for that to come out, is an audience that should not see that, in my opinion. And that was my problem with it.
Really?
I think it was just.
Really?
What about all of the things associated with that satanic symbol that's on the shoe? Like, what about are we looking at casualties that are associated with that? Have like people really been sacrificed? Is that really a thing?
So here's the kicker with that, right? Here's the kicker. So this is why I
Like
find
the Charles
his case-
Manson on the forehead?
But this
Charles Manson on the forehead?
But yeah, he had a swastika on his forehead. But the thing
right,
with
right,
Charles
right,
Manson
right.
and the swastika is the swastika actually is still being used as a symbol of fortune and good luck, right? It just happens to be in the context of Nazis. But the swastika has been used by Native Americans, Buddhists, like across the world to this day, thousands of years before, if I'm not mistaken, thousands of years before. The Nazis, correct me.
Yeah, no, I got it wrong. I was thinking Manson had that thing
with the pentagram,
what is
right?
it? What is it called? Like the star, some kind of star or something.
Pentagram, right? But here's the kicker with that though, right? When you think of human sacrifice and stuff like that, right? Here's where it gets even weirder and more interesting with his case. And I got one piece as it relates to hip hop, because he ain't the first one to do this at all.
Oh, not at all.
Right?
No.
So the piece about like symbolism and human sacrifice, Christianity is based on human sacrifice, right? The core and the tenet of the religion is Jesus on the cross dying, sacrificing himself for the sins of the world, right? That's human sacrifice, right? When you think of something like communion on the Catholic side of things, right? What is communion, right? It's transubstantiation. What is transubstantiation, right? That one of the rites, or if you want to call it, the Catholic Church believes in magic, right, Tom? Like they believe in magic. Mm-hmm. One of the I don't know if you noticed, Royce. One of the powers that like priests are supposed to have is the ability to, when you do communion, that the wine, when you drink it, turns into blood in your mouth. Right? Like it really turned, not like it's a symbol, a metaphor, like this is they call it transubstantiation, right?
It is the blood of Christ.
It is the blood of Christ. And this is the body of Christ when they give you the communion cracker, right? The viatical food is what it's called.
Yeah, we got white bread.
Right? There But that's
I'm serious.
But behind like the metaphor, there's one folks who just look at it as a metaphor, right? I'm partaking in the blood, the sacrifice. But it's human. You're eating is cannibalism, right? To a degree, it can be framed as that, and validly that's your essence. It's a presentation of an act of cannibalism. But then also, the priests really believe that it turns into blood, right? Like that turns into blood in your body. So, and think how many churches, whether they ain't got to be Catholic, how many churches that are non-Catholic that still practice something like communion or something like that, right? Some aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Bathing in the blood of Jesus, things of that nature, right? Wash me in the blood of Jesus, all of these things. A lot of the weird part is a lot of this satanic stuff was invented by like the religious sects, right? Like the first time you heard of the devil was from some Christians, right? The first time I heard of jinns, these demons, was from Muslims, right? It's like, man, I don't believe in that, right? So even these things that we look at and quote unquote demonize, it's crazy, right? They come from the same people who supposed to be fighting against it, and they practice it themselves. So heretics were burned at the stake, like skinned alive, boiled alive. The Spanish Inquisition was real, right? There's other examples. If you look at what was the piece I had? If you look at like Mayans and like Aztecs and stuff like that, these older kind of Mesoamerican societies, whatever you want to call them, they practice blood rituals and all kinds of human sacrifice and sacrificing virgins. The crazy part is they would capture a like enemy soldier, right? And for a year, they would treat him like a god, right? So he would become
for
real. And this was real talk. He would be like a god. They would dress him up in the costume, and he would be carried through the community as a living god. And then they would sacrifice him. Right?
Hell of a life.
So there's that piece, Royce. Like even in that, like, symbols and human sacrifice and human blood. Like even the people that are, from a religious standpoint that are critiquing Lil Nas X, when they go to church on Sunday, I mean, they praying in front of a man nailed to a cross with blood coming out of him.
Well, like it's I look at it like this. If it was like something religiously that he felt he has the right to express, and he wasn't being given that right, and he's just fighting for that, that's one thing. That's understandable. Mm-hmm. But I don't think this is the case. This feels like this feels like shock value controversy.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? And two, along with a very bad song. This song's not going down in history as anything.
No. But isn't there two pieces to this? So to me, there's a shock value, right? The shock value is how he rolled it out.
Tons of views. Tons of views. A very ugly shoe. In a very bad song
that Nike's suing him right now, but
they should just for the design.
They're not suing him. Just so we're not spreading bad information. They're not suing him.
They're suing Nike. I mean, they're suing the company that
they're suing the company. Yeah. But the song itself, right? It's less about. Isn't it really? But basically, what he's saying is to all the people that say me being gay means I'm going to hell. Isn't that kind of what he's ultimately saying? He's saying that. I think that's his damage. I think that's his damage control statement in response to a fucking tweet. You know what I'm saying? Like he's responding to a tweet with a whole fucking rollout and a fucking devil worship song.
But Royce, peep this, right? Why aren't we giving Lil Nas X or projecting onto him or giving him the benefit of the doubt conceptually and creatively that we give each other of our ilk, right? Us kind of rapidy rapper.
I just gave it to him. Right? I just gave it to him. I said the song is garbage.
No, man, stop it. Just cut it out. That's not what I'm talking about.
I judged it.
No, I'm not.
Objectively.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, why can't it be what Tom said, right? A very intentional, conceptual response to a thing that he received, and he I mean the song might still wind up being garbage. But
I didn't say he can't do the song. I said that's where I exit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like I have to agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the shit. If you want to know what I think about it, the song sucks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a horrible idea. I think it was the beginning of the end of his career. Mm-hmm. And then he'll see why, looking at it in retrospect, all money isn't good money, all press isn't good press. Mm-hmm. He just went a wrong direction. But I mean, he's more than entitled to do whatever he wants to do. I'm not here to stop him.
Right.
For sure.
Here's
I want the kid to be successful. I want what's best for him. But I'm not a fan of it.
Here's why that's a little crazy. I'm not saying what you said was crazy, but here's what, not you specifically, but that point that this may potentially be the end of his career, right? Mm-hmm. Only because this country has those standards, right? That are kind of like these paradoxes, these oxymorons, right? Like you can praise, your particular version of divinity and your particular version of human sacrifice and your particular version of commercialism and your particular versions of shock value and all this other stuff and get Golden Globes for it, get Oscars for it, right? You got literal actors who've played the devil, right? Like Al Pacino actually played the devil and was killing people and getting people to commit suicide and all having sex and all type of crazy shit, right? And he was applauded for it and given all type of pieces and blah, 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 right? But when you get somebody like Lil Nas X, right, who does something, when I say something similar, just in terms of theatrics, put on stage, put on the screen, pushed out to people, right? It's the end of his career. He's definitely going to hell.
Because Lupe, a part of artistry, a part of good artistry is your ability to read the room. That's all. Bro, it ain't time for all that. Maybe we may get to a point in the music space where, that's like the regular run-of-the-mill shit. You got to ease us into it, baby. It was just too much. It's just too much, man. I shouldn't be watching your video clutching my fucking pearls, man. You know what I'm saying? I should be going, oh my, this is really like, you know, like my fucking skin was crawling, man. It was like, bro, he didn't do it. It wasn't a good execution. He went too far. It was just too, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like when you do a punchline and, you know, you rapping to a girl. Yeah, you do rapping to a girl on your song and you got a punchline. You're not about to be like, I'm going to hit that pussy with my big dick in the pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to use some tact, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to buy me a drink first. Buy me a drink first, Lil Nas X.
First. Then you can run a broomstick up my ass, right? Here's
Nah, it just depends. You know what I'm saying? But a part of artistry, bro, it's a such thing as being ahead of your time. It's a such thing as being before your time.
Sure. Timing.
You know, like you have to know how to speak to the room, man. That was not the right thing to do, brother. It just wasn't.
Here's why I feel a little perturbed, right? I'm probably not. I'm be honest with you. I'm probably not going to watch the video. I have not heard the song, and I don't.
Of course you're not, because it's whack. It's not because you don't want him to have his. You don't want him to have express himself. It's garbage. That's why you're not going to watch it again.
It's because I'm old.
Lupe, right? If it was good, if it was ridiculous, we wouldn't have a choice.
That's not enough for me. I don't have a radio. The radio in my car don't even work. The radio here works. But anyway, here's why I feel a little weird about it, right? Is because true story, and it's actually in a rap song, right? I'll rap it just for folks to get a little experience of what they can get, a little taste of the concert on the 15th, right? What is it? I had a Ghetto Boy bop, a Jay-Z boycott, right? I had a Jay-Z boycott because he said he never prayed to God, he prayed to God-E. Right? I'm thinking godly. God guard me from the ungodly. Right? But by my 30th watching, the streets is watching, I was back to giving props again. And that was bothering. Right? About as uncomfortable as an untouchable touching you. The theme song that niggas hustled to seemed wrong, but these songs was coming true. Right? So I literally stopped listening to Jay-Z. Right? That's on a song called Hurt Me Soul. On my first album, Food and Liquor. Where I literally stopped listening to Jay-Z because of that. I was like super kind of like in quasi-religious at the time. I was, you know, in my Muslim phase, little kid, being real enthusiastic about it, with teenager. And I remember listening, I was like, man, I can't listen to this, right? Like, I can't listen to Jay-Z. Jay-Z has a song on his first album called The Evils, right? And it's D apostrophe E-V-I.
You know, I know. Yep. Preem did it.
And it's the Al Pacino, right? It's Al Pacino in I forgot the name of that movie.
Goodfellas, Scarface.
No, with Keanu Reeves, where he plays the devil.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Right.
When they was in the elevator and all of that,
yeah. It's that
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
Keanu
was the lawyer. That part, right? It's that version of the devil, right? It's that version of evil, like the way Jay-Z, but he killing it, like he killing it. And Preem did the beat, so you know is murderous, right? Killing. One of my favorite songs, right? Just from a technical aspect, but it challenges you, right, to come to terms with your belief systems, right, and question like what is your capacity, and relate hip hop's relationship to that side of the fence, right? There's horrorcore, especially in Detroit, right? You know, there's a lot of horrorcore dudes who've made some records that are super kind of occulty. The reference points are crazy, like, and it comes across as very like, I don't want, the same way it's like, man, I don't want my kids listening to this, right? It's that same energy of like what Royce was saying about Clutching the Pearls with this little Nas X video. It's like, man, I don't want my kids really listen. I don't think kids should listen to it. Maybe skip that track, go to the other one. I'm not DMX the same way with Damien, right? But he did a better job of it, I think, because he was framing it as kind of like this battle, right? This thing trying to tempt him to do something and stuff like that. So it's different. But, you know, hip hop has engaged with the devil and Satan and that stuff throughout, I don't want to say throughout its history, but for a long time. And some very top artists have dealt with it and executed in amazing ways. And in some ways that literally stopped me from listening to it. I was like, I can't do it. So I'm a little guilty of it. And I'm on both sides of the fence with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, he over sexualized the video too, so
He's not the first, but he went pretty far.
he went over the top.
Somebody wrote, this was a headline that it was like the gayest song of all time. Like it was like the gayest video of all time, which it ain't. Shout to my LGBTQ folks out there, man. I'm not passing no judgment, but the gayest video of all time still goes to Lil Red. You remember that
Lil
one?
Red?
Woo, man.
Which one is that? Which
Woo,
one is that?
shit.
What was the song?
Oh my brother. That has to be banned on YouTube. Now we giving Lil X. We're not finna give Lil X props that he don't deserve, ladies and gentlemen. That is not. If you thinking that that's the gayest video of all time, it is not. The gayest rap music video of all time comes from Lil Red.
Oh my
What's
brother.
the name? What's the name of the song?
I think it's
What's
called.
the name of the song? I never heard it.
I think it's called "Pop That Boy Pussy." I think. See how that works?
Well,
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They out there in the
That's
front
the name
with
of
just
the
the title
song?
alone.
Google it. It's like Lil
Yeah,
Red.
it's-
Like let me get.
I'd rather not.
Throw
I'm
that boy pussy.
Throw that boy.
is the
Yeah.
name of
Throw
the
that.
video.
Throw that boy pussy. There you go.
Is that right?
If you really want something that you
I'm
don't want, that you don't even want to
I'm
watch.
afraid to even. I'm not watching. I'm not even clicking on it. This is the company computer. I'm not doing that.
Woo!
Yeah, he didn't make that for me.
I'm just saying though,
He didn't make that for me.
people expressing their communities how they see fit. So even as we throw around titles of like it's too sexually explicit, it is this, that, and the third. Like no, it ain't. There's some videos that have been made for artists representing the LGBT community, where they speak their truth. They like freaky shit. Then they're gonna put it on the scene. Same way Nicki Minaj or Cardi B talking about whap my wet ass pussy. Then Lil Red shouldn't have no problems with throw that boy pussy. Like let's get it cracking, right? So I think at a certain point, man, Lil Nas has a point. There's a lot of hypocrisy in the game, and it's a lot of folks.
He's not really making a point though. What point did he make?
I mean, if I was speaking,
it's not coming with a whole lot of narrative.
Nah, he
Yeah, if you was a PR person, you could make it sound a little better.
But think about
You know
this
what I'm
though:
saying?
the marketing people behind this. I mean, this was not coincidence that the
He ain't
video,
saying shit.
or that the
he ain't
shoes
did nothing but
got
crack a bunch of. He just cracked a bunch of jokes like a little kid and shit.
But the shoes got released on what day?
Your
The
man
shoes were
there.
released on Palm Sunday.
Oh yeah, listen,
that?
I mean, it was all planned.
Little Nas X not in that video by himself. He didn't hold the camera shooting him. This ain't a selfie shot video.
Oh yeah, it was a whole
It's a whole
crew. It was
team,
a lot of
right?
meetings. the phrase "devil worship" got said plenty of times in those boardroom meetings.
And
Everybody was aware.
here's the killer, Royce, and maybe you could speak to this a little bit, right? Like as trivial as some of the shit that comes out, whether it be hip hop or pop or whatever, when I'm talking about like trivial bullshit that comes out, right? As much as we kind of take it as being like, oh, this is just some dumb, ignorant Negro biz music or whatever. The conversations and the caliber of the folks that are behind pushing and creating and marketing and strategizing those things, that's some high level, like fucking Ivy League level conversations and shit that be going down, man. Like it ain't just some, I got this dumbass idea to do this thing. Like it eventually hits a few people, more than a few, especially if it's on a major label where there's some serious folks doing serious shit, having serious conversations about the ramifications, the execution, the response to that shit for real.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand when there's like areas of discomfort for certain people with certain music and certain music videos. It's like music should have that effect on people, you know what I mean? But just don't whine about it when when it's certain people, certain groups of people that's not willing to watch that shit. Like I personally don't want to look at shit like that. Just like I'm pretty sure, like my mom. She don't want to listen to songs where I'm cursing too much on it. That's just not what the fuck she feels like. She doesn't want to listen to her son cursing all damn day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, or, like killing in videos and shit like that. Some people don't watch movies. Some people couldn't watch Devil's Advocate. Some people couldn't watch, you know what I'm saying? Those kinds of depictions. It's too heavy for them. Maybe religious people, maybe whatever. You know what I mean? So it's understood. It's as long as you know who you're targeting. I can't really tell who this kid is targeting with this garbage ass song, but it just looks like he's shooting. It looks like he's shooting at controversy. He's shooting for controversy. That's what it looks like to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I never like shit that's like super intentional going for controversy. I don't like super intentional anything in the creative space. I really don't.
Hold on.
Super intentional.
Hold on. I'll be
no. Listen, not things that are controversial. Things that are intentional. I don't like intentional commercial. I don't like intentional.
Where's he going, Royce? Where's he going with this?
He about to come back and break my balls.
I know he is. Here it comes.
Before you start breaking my balls, start breaking my balls, let me finish my point.
What'd you say?
Okay.
Is anybody
I said before you start
anybody want something to eat? I want some. What we talking about? Anybody want some?
Oh man, yeah, he's a horrible dude, bro. Horrible friend. Horrible friend. Listen. I don't like intentional anything. Listen to what I'm saying. Tell me if you feel the same way though. Intentional commercial, intentional hip hop, intentional anything just don't sound right to me. You know what I mean? It's like I don't like the shit where it seems like you're trying too hard. I like shit to just feel more organic. Maybe I'm just that kind of fan.
No. I agree with you. I think that there's what I do like is when the intention is about something that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, Lil Nas X should have made a song about, what it means to be gay. Right? Mm-hmm. And what does that look like? And talk about, trans folks being murdered, low key. You know what I'm saying? Talk about some of the trials and the tribulations and the struggle in that community, right? Talk about, camps that were made to pray the gay away. You know what I'm saying? And some of the oppressions and things that took place with folks. Talk about the difference between gender and sexuality and all of these different things and help further the conversation to have the average folk be able to understand, right? As opposed
to me, that's how you stand up to people.
Right? I like that.
Like, articulate that shit.
I like that intentionality, even if it's whack, even if it's gonna be some garbage ass shit and you don't know how to rap it, right? But I think when people do that with intention, when they focus on, if you're gonna focus on something controversial, just make sure it matter. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure it matter. Like talk about, and to your point, your homie. Look at what Britney Spears is going through right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Look what some of these child stars and folks go through. Tell that story. Like Stan is Eminem's greatest record of all, out of all of the shit he made, right? To me, it's his greatest record of all time because it meant something. You know what I'm saying? Like it was intentional. It spoke to something that people deal with, where you had artists that were murdered by their fans. You take somebody like John Lennon, right? Who was killed by his fans, right? Where that obsession and that relationship between the artist and the fan and where that can go and what you need to do to solve it, right? And that last verse was Eminem's greatest, I don't want to say it's his greatest verse of all time because on some rap shit he got all type of crazy shit. But in terms of just like intentionality that matters, that instructs you how to take a situation and deal with it and work with it and talk that person through, but also showing the realities that shit's absolutely brilliant, So, I think hopefully Nas, I hope his career's not over. I hope that he learns that lesson. At least he hears this, at least from me, right? Like that's what I would like to see. Like you popping on the devil's ass, that don't mean shit, right? But niggas do pop, bitches dress up like the devil at the strip club and go in there and start popping their ass. So I mean, I'm not mad at you for that. But at the same time too, bro, if that's the aim you're gonna take and that's the critique that you're getting, then come back with the same well executed critique and response about something that matters.
So the most important question of the night: did the manager woman at Hotel Cecil murder that woman?
What?
Royce, did you watch it?
Did the manager woman at Hotel Cecil murder that woman? Mm-hmm. What is he talking about, Lou?
Shout to BetterHelp, man. Shout to our sponsors. our sponsors that mean something, right? It means something. Proud to have BetterHelp as a sponsor. Because what the show did for me, and what I did not like about the show, but I think it was less about the show. No, it's the show's fault too, right? As we sound like Joe Budden right now. Like, oh my God, this has become the Joe Budden podcast. We here talking shit about rappers. But
What we say about rappers?
you call Lil Nas X song garbage.
He ain't no fucking rapper.
Stop it. I mean, what did you expect from a member of Slaughterhouse? What would you expect it was gonna be? What I didn't like about the show, Tom, honestly, was that it trivialized mental health. I didn't like that.
It did. I would agree with you on that.
I didn't like that at all. You did not have to do that, right? I understand that they were trying to contextualize a lot of the YouTube kind of, mystery machine, Scooby-Doo type shit that was happening around her case. But at the end of the day, this ain't making of a murderer. Like, this ain't no crime drama.
No,
you know
it was a mental health issue at the end of the day.
This is like mental health, and the way they trivialized it for the few episodes in the build-up, I was kind of like, like, that's fucked up. To represent her to the world like that. They tried to clean it up at the end, and I think that they kind of did, right?
Yeah.
But I think they and some of the folks in there who they interviewed, I think were real serious. But it just felt real. It felt like they was just playing with this woman's life and playing with mental health.
It felt like they duped you at the end, because they did build it all up like something really, really crazy kind of happened, and then at the very end they say, "Oh, by the way, she had these situations." So I would agree with you.
I knew that she had an issue when they mentioned, and this was weird because she had all this medication. Remember they said that at the beginning?
Yeah.
Like she left and she had this, but she had all this medication. I immediately knew, like, oh, she had like a mental breakdown, right? Either she got some drugs, right, and was low key got into like some LSD or some shit on the street and was tripping out, or she was having a psychotic break. And all that medication that they mentioned earlier. If they would just mention that she was on antipsychotics and antidepressants at the beginning of the show,
it would have been over.
It's over. Why are you even doing this shit, right? So I felt like they pimped that woman's life, and pimped that mental illness, and actually did somewhat of and tried to frame it as like Hotel Cecil's this haunted place and all these serial killers. Like, nigga, serial killers live next door. That don't mean that the fucking house is eating souls. Like, that shit was stupid. So, at the end of the day, man, I was really touched and kind of hurt by her story, man. Like, because I know folks that are out here, having psychotic breaks. They not on their medication.
But do you also think it was the family's fault? Because I felt like, and again, we only saw what we saw, but the family really never gave that information to the investigators until much further along.
See,
like, why wouldn't they have come out or do you think it was because of the way they filmed it?
That's the way they filmed it. So again, you got to be careful how they frame shit, right? I'm sure when the police talk, that's why the parents probably ain't say anything, right? Because it's like, listen, our daughter's. I believe the call was, hey, our daughter is down in LA, right? And she has a history of psychotic butter. And I'm sure the detectives were like, is she on anything? Does she take any medication? Does she have this? Does she have a history of this? Does she have a history of that? So I don't think that didn't happen until the end of the fucking Hotel Cecil episode, right? Series,
you think that's the way they framed it?
I think that's the way they build it. And it pimps her life. It makes the family look like they're, who knows what they were trying to do. They were trying to talk to her every day. But when you're dealing with somebody with mental illness, the crazy part is that's how Skid Row started, right? It started off as give these people, close down the mental asylums, kick everybody out of the asylums, because now we got this medication, right? So now that we've reached the state pharmaceutically where these people can medicate and self-medicate, then give them their freedom. They grown. You don't want to keep changing people's diapers and, doing all this other old shit. Let them free. Right? It's inhumane to lock people in cages, right? Now that we got medication, send them out, right? And that's what happened. But guess what happened? People stopped taking their medication, right? And that's how it starts, right? I can just give somebody, but at a certain point, it's real. There's people who manage their psychosis and their mania, right? There's people who you work with who you probably don't even know that are full blown schizophrenics, right? But they're able to, or mania, bipolar, whatever, right? But they're able to manage. They're
able to control it,
right? And live a life. They might have breaks. They might have little gaps and stuff like that. You know, changing dosages and stuff like that. But people manage, you know. And I think, if anything, hopefully her story gets people to be more in tune and more sensitive to, you know, the mental health situation in our country, what inspires stuff like that. But also, you know, these people, they're human beings. They have wants and needs. She wanted to travel. You know, she wanted to get out and do things, you know, and see things before she died, you know, contemplating suicide and stuff like that. So it's like, man, if that was your last hurrah because you was planning on going home and offering yourself in some way, you know, I have to celebrate that, you know, that you got to go and see things and experience things. But at the same time, too, I'm sad, you know, I hated to see it, you know, for her to go out like that. So, you know, fuck the producers who put it together. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. But, you know, all love goes to the young lady who passed and the people who tried to help her, you know, so there's that.
Was this based on somebody's true story?
Yeah, this was a true story.
Oh, shoot.
True story. But that's the thing, they trivialize it, trying to make shit like Scooby-Doo, like it's a cartoon, like maybe the manager did it, you know what I'm saying? And, I found a body here, there was a body, like, man, go on with all that shit, man. Like, they should have just
I was on the manager. I was on the manager until the end.
They should have just did a
I might have to check that shit out.
They should just did a documentary about the Hotel Cecil and just left it alone, right? And then did a whole other case study about her.
About her.
Right? And left out all that fucking Scooby-Doo shit.
What are you watching next? What's next on the Netflix show?
I'm finna watch this Lil Nas X video and beat my meat. Ooh, I can't wait. Give me some lotion. Where the lotion at? Turn on this video so I get real.
And on that note, what time is it? I gotta use the bathroom, man.
I'll be watching Last Chance U, the basketball version. I'm gonna keep it a little bit later. All right.
This nigga bugging, man.
Yo, so for real though, April 15th, make sure you check out futurestream.tv/Lupe Fiasco. We're going to be promoting it over the next couple episodes, but futurestream.tv/Lupe Fiasco, my virtual show. And the NFT drop is on April 12th, so get ready. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got. It's Lupe Fiasco, and, you know, I love everybody. I love everybody.
Yo, this is Royce the 5'9", and I'm a non-fungible token.
Hey, and this is Tom Frank, and even if you don't want to listen to Lupe Fiasco on April 15th, come out to see me and Royce do a nice little interview with the man himself. That's our show. You survived. Download, share, do all of that. We'll see you next week.
But more importantly, leave us a message, cuz. Call us, man. What's the number, Tom?
And some money. Leave us some money.
Oh, yeah, for the 100th show so that we can be counting our money.
We hungry.
The hotline. What's that?
We hungry. We tired of eating that damn cereal.
So the hotline, 707-276-6261.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
First of all, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I don't want to get shot with an arrow. I'm Gil from Philly, and I just want to thank y'all for bringing Maj on. I never heard of him, and now I'm following him, and I'm a big supporter.
Hey, this is Brian E. Jones from Maryland, man. Hey, congratulations on your podcast, man. Y'all have been killing it. Lupe, Royce, Tom, doing y'all thing. I love how y'all scripted, deliver, but then y'all distribute it to my niggas. Haha, y'all know what it is, baby. Keep doing your thing.
Name is Cedric Kirksey, Double O, Dayton, Ohio. Appreciate it. Conscious said, love the chats on IG. You got me a couple times, and I definitely been working on my economy, crypto and everything. Appreciate the conversations. Love both sides. Y'all, Detroit and Chicago. Love what y'all doing. Keep doing it. Salute to Tom. And salute to the merch. I got to get some. Appreciate you.
That's our show for the week. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe or follow. Leave us a review and tell your friends to listen. The Lupe and Royce Show is a production of Say What Media. It's recorded and mixed by Claude Jennings. Our head writer is Lauren Sloat. I'm Tom Frank. And our theme music is by, who else? Lupe Fiasco and Royce the 5'9".